This is Scott the Fix It Guy. Today we're dealing with a Samsung washing machine that isn't draining, and we're going to be replacing the drain pump. Here is the actual drain pump assembly with the part number, and this is on a stacked washing machine, so we've got to remove the dryer first. I've pulled in the recycling bin from outside, and I've disconnected everything on the back of the dryer. I took off the gas line, turned off the gas first, then took off the gas line, took off the dryer ducting, and unplugged it. And I'm pulling it now onto the recycling bin. So I open the door and I grab it with two hands and just slide it onto the recycling bin. And then I can just pull the whole dryer out away from the washing machine, and it just takes one guy to do it. The recycling bins tend to be about the same height as the washing machine, so it's pretty easy to just slide them right onto the recycling bin. And it has wheels, so it's easy to slide the dryer out of the way. So we got to get the dryer out of there so we can get to the back of the washing machine, and that's how we're going to get to the drain pump on the Samsung washing machine. So this one just wasn't pumping out the water. It turned out that the customer had gotten a lot of sand in the washing machine. They were washing some towels that were really sandy, and I think the sand may have ruined the old pump, so we're going to put in a new pump. So I've opened the door of the washing machine. I'm grabbing the frame so I can pull this machine away from the wall. Usually you want to just get the machine totally out of this closet setting, but this one was stuck, so I was able to get it only maybe about 1.5 feet away from the wall. But that gave me enough access room where I could do the replacement of the pump assembly. Sometimes you might find that the pump still works, but there might be something caught, like a bobby pin or something is blocking the impeller from moving. So when you take out the pump assembly, sometimes you can just remove the obstruction. But it's probably good, if you're going to go through all these steps, that you have a new pump assembly on hand in case the motor has worn out. On the LG and the Samsung, it's pretty common that the drain motor will fail at about the 5 to 6 year mark. They don't last very long. The other parts of the machine are pretty good. The direct drive system is really pretty smart, but the drive pumps just don't last very well. So I'm just getting the machine, again, a little further away from the wall, and I'm going to remove the back cover. There's just 2 Phillips head screws that you pull out, and you can pull the cover off. And then you have access to right where the drain's located. So I've gotten behind the machine, I've got my socket. I'm going to remove 3 bolts that are holding the pump assembly in position. And before I did that, I've clamped off the black hose going to the pump from the tub to the pump so that I could remove that black hose and also the gray exit hose from the pump. So there's 2 hoses connected to it and 1 electrical connector. The electrical connector, you just pinch it and then you can pull it right off of the pump. And the black hose is carrying all the water from the tub, and oftentimes it's full of water, so it's good to put a clamp on it first, unless you can get rid of all the water. So we've got the bolts off and the connections. I'm pulling out the old pump. Just going to pinch in on that electrical connector so I can get it off. So we just squeeze and then pull it straight out. There it is. Lift the pump out. This is the pump assembly. This costs about $45 to $50. And it comes with the pump motor and the pump housing and a bracket. There we go. And this one, again, when I open it up, which is full of sand, here's the new one with the bolts already in position, the 3 bolts. So I'm going to get that in, and I'll go ahead and tighten up the bolts first, and then I'll get the hoses connected and then put on the wire connector. Usually, again, it's far better to have this out away from the wall where you have more working room, but this one was really stuck, so I'm just going to make do. Sorry for the camera angle, it's not ideal. So I'm going to go ahead and start these bolts by hand, and then I'll tighten them down with the ratchet. And the gray drain hose, exit hose, is pretty easy to pop on. The black hose that goes on from the tub is a little bit harder. You really need to use two hands to help guide that one on. So I'm putting the hose clamp back on. I'm going to grab my pliers and pinch that and then push that back on. And this gray hose again is the exit hose. Before I put this on, I did blow through it to make sure there was no obstruction in that hose. It is possible sometimes to have like a sock pulled into the black hose that goes from the tub. Here's the little clamp. I got everything hooked up, so I'm just going to remove that clamp. But sometimes you can get like a sock caught in the black hose that goes from the tub to the pump. And everything's hooked up, so I'm going to go ahead and plug it back in. And now we're going to turn it on, set it for a spin, and then it should drain out all the water. So it sounds good, and when I peer in there I can see the water leaving the machine pretty fast. So there we go, that was it. And I'm just opening up the old pump for fun to see what was in there, and I can see there's a bunch of sand. So I think that's probably what happened, is the sand worked itself into the motor and just was either jamming it or making it unable to spin. And put the metal cover back on. It slides into these two slots first, and then there's two Phillips head screws that hold it on. Go ahead and tighten those up. And then I'll go ahead and push the washing machine back in closer to the wall. And with the help of that recycling bin, I can just slide the dryer back into position, and then I can just push it back onto the washing machine. So really easy to do with just one person, as long as you have something like this garbage can or recycling bin that can hold the weight of the dryer, and something with wheels so you can wheel it away. So I got it in position, and I'm just going to push it until it's on top. And then I'll hook up the brackets on the back, and I'll hook up the gas line again, and I'll hook up the vent tube and plug it back in, and then we got it all done. So here's the gas tube. Just going to spin that on by hand, and then you want to give it a couple of, once you get it by hand, tight about half a turn to a full turn with your crescent wrench to get it really tight, because you don't want a gas leak. You don't have to use pipe tape, because this is a type of coupling that'll just lock in when you tighten it. Here's the vent tube. Push that back on, tighten that back up. And you got to make sure you turn the gas valve back on. So thanks so much for watching, and please subscribe.